Well, today the Cubs wrap up their first homestand of 2014 and an opportunity to win their first series of the season. It's the rubber match, Pirates and Cubs, and it's the Hyundai leadoff man on WGN Sports. Great to have you with us. I'm Len Casper. We'll hear from Jim Deshaies a little later. Good pitching matchup. Garrett Cole, a young promising right-hander for the Pirates, and the Cubs all-star from last year, left-hander Travis Wood. Let's get the highlights of Game 2 of this series last night with the wind howling out. You thought you might need to score some runs. The Cubs got a first-inning run off Wandy Rodriguez. Justin Ruggiano with his first hit as a Cub, scoring Emilio Bonifacio 1-0 for the home team. Pirates tied it in the fifth, but the Cubs came right back. Mike Alt got one up into the jet screen. Into the basket, his second homer of the season. 3-1 Cubs. That was a two-run shot. And then Junior Lake, the next batter, way gone on to Waveland. 4-1. That was about all Jason Hamill would need in this one, but the Cubs continued to tack on. Sixth inning, Anthony Rizzo, one of his 4 hits on the night. He is red hot. Oh, you love to see him go to the opposite field. 5-1 at that point. Then Alt again with an opposite field base hit. It's 6-1 Cubs. Pirates would come back late, make it 7-5 in the night, but Pedro Strop in a non-safe situation strikes out Travis Ishikawa. Cubs win as Jason Hamill beats the Pirates for the second consecutive start in what was his Wrigley Field debut. We'll hear from the manager coming up next. The leadoff man is brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come test drive the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit myhyundaichicago.com. Brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come in and test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Cubs come in at 3-5 so far this season. The Pirates 5-3. They're facing a left-handed starter for the first time so far this year. Let's hear from Rick Renteria on what he hopes to see from Travis Wood today.
I didn't get a chance to see Woody working in the pen, but it's like anything. I think he's going to try and work both sides down, you know, be able to finish in and do different things that'll keep the hitters off balance. Right now they're driving the ball the other way. You know, you got to do a lot of different things to try to keep them off the outside part of the plate.
Well, he had trouble with left-handed hitters last time.
Yeah, and I think again it's commanding, being able to get to both sides of the plate effectively. That'll give him a chance to have success.
A little more on the starters a little bit later. We mentioned Wood, the all-star from last year, by far the Cubs' most consistent starter in 2013. We'll take a look around the major leagues when we come back as we get you set for Cubs baseball on WGN. Brought to you by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to come in and test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com. Still early, we're not even 2 weeks into the season, but not much separation in the standings. Best record in baseball, the Nationals and Brewers at 6-2. Let's go first to third around the big leagues. The Angels losing Josh Hamilton to a torn ligament in his left thumb. It could be a couple of months. That was a headfirst slide into first base. The Diamondbacks badly needed a win, and they got it last night over Tim Lincecum and the Giants. You see what Paul Goldschmidt's done in his career. The Diamondbacks now 3-8 on the season. The Braves off to a 5-3 start. Right-hander Irvin Santana right around the plate as they beat the Mets 4-3. We'll have the Cubs hosting the Pirates in the rubber game coming up next on WGN Sports. From the famous corner of Clark and Addison Streets in Chicago, we're ready for Cubs baseball on WGN Sports. The Pirates and the Cubs will wrap up a 3-game series. Wind a little mercurial today, blowing straight out to center. May end up shifting as the day moves along. We welcome Cub fans from all over the country watching on WGN America, America's home for baseball. Hi again, everyone. Alongside Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper. The Cubs, it seemed, were not going to score all year, the first couple of days of the season, but it's so early, and we really like the trends here the last few days at home.
Yeah, pretty lean through those first few ball games, but lately the bats have really come to life. You take a look at the breakdown. First 5 games, the team was 1-4, had managed to score just 8 runs. Since then, they've really lit up the scoreboard. 2 out of their last 3 they've won, but everybody chiming in. Bonifacio, Castro having a huge game last night. Anthony Rizzo along with Lake and Olton. That's what Rick Renteria wants to see, a lot of different guys contributing.
Pirates haven't seen many left-handers. This is the first starter against them from the left side. It'll be Travis Wood for the Cubs. Garrett Cole, a right-hander for the Pirates. Now, our national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, the Cubs have settled in here at home. They'll wrap up this homestand and hope to continue to get the offensive production they got last night. Game 3 of this series is next. Brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer or go to shophonda.com for current offers. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible. Chicago Cubs baseball in beautiful high definition on WGN TV is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. A little bit more about our starting pitchers today. For the Cubs, it will be Travis Wood. It was good in 3 starts against the Pirates last year, just didn't get a lot of run support.
Well, that was kind of the story of his entire season last year. Run support per 9 innings for Travis Wood, the lowest in Major League Baseball. That's why he managed to finish below 500 despite having one of the better ERAs in the game. And for the Pirates today, it's hard-throwing young right-hander Garrett Cole, just 23 years of age. A couple of times against the Cubs last year, threw the ball quite well. He's tough.
Overcast, a little bit warmer, wind blowing out. We hope to dodge the rain over the next 3 hours or so as Cole takes his final warm-up tosses down the right field line. And here's the Pirates lineup written out by Clint Hurdle. And again, the first time they faced a left-handed starter, Marte, Tabata in for Snyder, McCutchen, Alvarez, then Gabby and Tony Sanchez at first and behind the plate. Neil Walker hitting .226, but has been able to find ways on base. Clint Barmas will play short with Cole, the pitcher, hitting ninth.
Let's take a look at the Cubs in the field this afternoon. Ryan Kalish is in left. Junior Lake played a lot of center field in spring training. This is his first start out there this year. Scherholtz is over and right. Holt with back-to-back starts. Castro and Bonifacio up the middle. Rizzo your first sacker, and your hind catcher is Wellington Castillo for the aforementioned Travis Wood. Last time out against the Phils, threw the ball well, I thought. Punched out 8, walked only 1. That's just 1 shy of his career high for strikeouts in a game. Chase Utley got one up into the wind against him for a 2-run home run, but I thought for the most part he threw the ball really well in that ball game. Nobody could get Chase Utley out in that series.
Mark Carlson's from Joliet, Illinois. He gets the plate today. Scott Barry is at first. Jeff Nelson, the crew chief, at second. There's Jeff. Laz Diaz over at third. 5-game, 6-day road trip following this one. St. Louis and New York. The Yankees. Little interleague play coming up next week for the Cubs.
It'll be a fun trip. Hopefully a winning trip, but certainly won't be easy with those 2 clubs. So a win here today would be a really nice note to finish this homestand on. The Cubs haven't won a series since September 9th through 11 of last year. Of course, they didn't play a whole lot in November and December. But that's 7 series dating back to last year that they have not picked up a series win.
Starling Marte swings at the first pitch and he missed it. And we're underway. And again, and that's a strike as Marte showed bunt. Wood always likes to establish the inside part of the plate against righties. Really took a step to the next level by working both sides of the plate last year.
Now he's got a good curveball. He doesn't use it a whole lot. A changeup and throw a 2-seam fastball, but that cutter is his best pitch. Likes to run it in on the hands of the right-handed hitters. A lot of pop-ups, weak contact with it.
.61 degrees with a southwest wind at 6. We'll keep an eye on the flags all day. The lights are on with the overcast conditions. And a swing and a miss. But he was trying to hit the outside corner with that cutter. It was actually right down the middle, but Marte couldn't get it.
shifting winds in the forecast for today. 61, a chance of some showers later on. All in all, the weather's been pretty good here for this opening homestand.
Jose Tabata. Just his second start. Alt even with a bag at third. Same for Rizzo at first. And there's a ground ball to the shortstop, Castro. Here comes Andrew McCutchen. A rare quiet night against the Cubs. Last night he went 0 for 4 after reaching base 4 times on Tuesday.
Pirates scored 5 runs in the ball game last night, all on solo home runs. It's 6 hits total. Strange game for sure.
Ed Hartig, Cubs historian, went back to 1876, the start of the Cubs franchise. They were the White Stockings, the dawn of the National League, and he only found 2 other times in Cubs history that they allowed at least 5 solo homers and no other runs in the game. 1930 against the Giants, June 16th, and then 2000 against the White Sox, June 11th. Cubs won both those games 6-5 over the Sox and 8-5 over the then New York Giants.
4 of those home runs last night came the 7th inning and later. Jason Hamill really sharp for the second consecutive start.
Alvarez already has 2 two-homer games, including that game last night. McCutchen able to hold up.
And McCutchen, the guy everybody focuses on in this Pirate lineup, and for good reason. He's the reigning MVP. He can do just about anything on a baseball field. One thing he hasn't been able to do is a whole lot of damage against Travis Wood. 2 out of 18 so far in his career. That's a .111 for a batting average.
2-2, swing and a miss to end the inning as the Pirates go down quietly 1-2-3, and the Cubs are coming up when we come back. Brought to you by Mazda and the 2014 Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity. Back-to-back starts for Lake and Alt, even though they're facing a right-hander today in Garrett Cole.
And the Buccos feature speed in the outfield with Marte, McCutchen, and Tabata. Alvarez, Barmes on the left side, Walker Sanchez on the right side. Tony Sanchez gets a start behind the plate, so Clint Hurdle shaking it up just a little bit here in the day game today. Barmes getting just his second start. Same for Gabby Sanchez over at first. Friday against the Cardinals, Garrett Cole and the Buccos won 12-2. He did his part, 7 innings of 2-run baseball, a couple of walks, 3 punch-outs. 10-7 last year in 19 big league starts with a 3.22. Quality baby right there. Ready for some action. Let's go. Well, Don Zimmer. The baby Zim.
There's a pitch to Bonifacio, and it's inside, ball 1. So Cole pitches on a day on which Jameson Taillon, they were hoping to maybe get for a playoff push later in the season, had Tommy John surgery. Cole, their #1 prospect, 2012-2013, according to Baseball America. The #1 overall pick 3 years ago.
At best laid plans, right? Pirates figured they're going to be all set with Cole and Taillon atop their rotation a couple years down the road. Taillon expected to contribute this year, but he might not pitch next year as well. Typically with Tommy John, you're looking 12 to 18 months. And you know they're going to be cautious with him coming back.
Cole's from Southern California, pitched at UCLA. That's way off the plate in.
There's the bona fides on Bonifacio. 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 bits, $1, 4 hit game, 5 hit, all of those in the team's first 7 games. Unbelievable start for Emilio.
16 for 26 against the Pirates. What, 97 with some movement?
And it's pretty easy too. You know, just nice fluid delivery. He topped out at 101 last year. His average fastball was 95. Where some guys it takes a while to get it cranked up. Obviously he's ready to go here in the first inning with that A+ heater.
3-2 missed, and Emilio's on again. Bring up Ryan Kalish. Gets his 3rd start in the last 4 games. This is only the 9th game of the season, JD, but the one trend that we're noticing is that Rick Renteria is going to play everybody, and if you play well, there's a decent chance you're going to get back in the lineup. And if you're struggling, you may have to wait your turn. This would normally be a Ryan Sweeney day, but he's gotten off to a slow start. Kalish had that big game on Sunday. So Lake's in center. Kalish is in left. Bonifacio takes off, got a great jump, and he's going to make it by a mile. Already his 6th stolen base.
The igniter at the top of the order. Big high leg kick from Cole didn't give Tony Sanchez much of a chance. Probably should just put it in his back pocket. See if Kalish can at least get him over there to third base.
One strike on Kalish.
And I like what Rick Renteria has done with the lineup. I like the way he's mixing and matching now. You can't do a straight platoon if you want to get enough at bats for Lake and Holt to continue their development.
That is a foul ball. Yeah, because you don't see as many lefties.
Yeah, and that's the problem. The Pirates. Travis Wood may be the first left-handed starter they've seen.
He is.
Yeah. So that's what Clint Hurdle's going through with his guys, and you could do a straight platoon if you're Renteria, but the Cubs obviously are trying to win, but they're also trying to see what they've got in some of these young players. So guys like Golden Lake have got to get a fair share of playing time against right-handed pitching as well.
Oh, 2. So Sanchez wants this pitch down, and it was a really good slider. Foul tip, strike 3. If you like stuff, if you like velocity, and you like movement, this is pretty impressive.
He's a 4-pitch pitcher. He's got a power curveball, obviously the plus fastball, slider, and a changeup.
Actually, that was the curve.
Yeah, that was just a hard curveball. And he You know, when you go #1 overall in the draft, obviously there's a skill set there that's gotten everybody's attention. He was a first-round pick of the Yankees out of high school, but chose not to sign, went to UCLA.
Swing and a miss by Rizzo, and immediately Sanchez out to the mound.
Cross them up, maybe.
Richard Petty look.
Bottom dropped out of that one.
Kind of looks like Tom Izzo.
I guess so. Another great year.
Coach. He's a Youper, isn't he? Bonifacio takes off for third, and he is going to be out. Waiting to see if Ricky Renteria is going to head out. He will not. It was close, but they got him. Oh, what a throw.
Yeah, great throw. You know, obviously a little bit easier with a left-handed hitter in the batter's box for the catcher to make that throw to third base. People might argue, well, you're already in scoring position. You got Rizzo up there, 4-hit game yesterday. He's really been swinging it well. Why gamble? But you know, I don't have a problem with it. If you feel like you got a good enough jump and you get the bag, Sanchez had to make a perfect throw to get him. And this guy's going to be tough to get a bunch of hits off with the stuff he's featuring here this afternoon.
Full on Rizzo. So we saw Tom Izzo, and we're watching Anthony Rizzo. 10 out of 15 his last 4 games. And the pitch is low, ball 4. He's walked 2 in the inning. Now Nate Scherholtz, who is due. He's 4 for 23 without an extra base hit. All 1. Pirates continue. It'll be a pretty long road trip. They'll bus to Milwaukee after this one. Balls 1-0.
Then on to Cincinnati after that. So full tour here early of the Central Division. 2 series with the Cubs. They've seen the Cardinals. They'll catch the Brewers and the Reds.
Scherholtz held, and now 3-0 with Lake on deck.
Don't know if it's just a matter of Garrett Cole misfiring, or if he's just trying to be a little too fine, because with his stuff he can afford to be a little bit more aggressive than most. Cut that 96, 97 mile an hour fastball loose with the movement he has. He can afford to get a good chunk of home plate.
Cole actually hit 100 miles an hour when he was in high school.
A lot of guys do that, but it's in their dad's car.
No, I'm talking about him on the mound. Yeah, the 3-1 is lined to Neil Walker to end the inning. We've completed 1. We're scoreless at Wrigley Field.
on the ground. Fair ball. And Jordan with an RBI single. How about that?
Drove in the run. There's another hit. A drive down the third base line. The tying run may score. He's around third, racing for the plate. The throw. He hasn't touched it.
The Crosstown Classic. Those games didn't even count. On a frigid day back in 1994, Michael Jordan with quite a day. One strike on Pedro Alvarez. 2 homers last night. He has started every game so far this season.
Say that was the highlight of Michael's baseball career?
I would have to say.
Kind of fun here. 202 he batted that year at AA Birmingham.
Played for Tito, didn't he?
Yeah.
Terry Francona. Bounced foul. Make sure you check out our baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent. Serving the area for 36 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. We have game notes in that highlight package. Tom Brenneman, I believe, along with Harry on the call 20 years ago, April 7th, 1994. Two-two pitch. Popped up. The shift is on, so Castro's really the only guy over there. It's a little stumble, but he makes the catch and foul ground.
You know, we talk a lot about baseball players having a clock. They get used to making certain plays in rhythm, and they know how much time they have. Well, shortstops aren't used to running this far to pursue a pop-up because they normally don't start so far up the middle. And then you see Castro, after a good long run there, looking up, trying to find the baseball, and which could be a very difficult task. I mean, that's a tough sky overhead here this afternoon. A little wobbly, but he was able to put it away.
Gabby Sanchez, an all-star in 2011. He sat and watched a lot here early with Travis Ishikawa taking up a lot of the playing time at first. All-star season was his hometown Marlins.
Back-to-back 19 home run seasons with the Fish. Hasn't performed up to that level since. Now finding himself as a platoon player here with the Pirates. Been good against lefties in his career.
Fly ball to left as Kalish waits on it.
Get your tickets to the Party of the Century all season long. The next homestand, the Cubs will celebrate the 10th decade with music, food, and giveaways that mirror that era. For more information about the 1910s decade, visit WrigleyField100.com. The Reds and D-backs are in for a 7-game homestand that will feature the highly anticipated birthday game. That's on Wednesday, April 23rd. Tickets can be yours at Cubs.com.
Now Tony Sanchez, who has an RBI all 3 games in which he's appeared, 2 go-ahead runs knocked in, and the game-ending RBI against the Cubs 8 days ago in the 16th inning.
Wood doing what he does best, working quickly, a lot of strikes, both sides of the strike zone.
Arkansas native from Bryant, Arkansas. Unflappable. Doesn't let really anything bother him out there. Full count, 3-2. Neil Walker's on deck. Kalish coming on, a little slide, he can't get it. And the Pirates have their first hit.
Like Kalish was going to be able to run this one down, and actually looked like it hit off the heel of his glove. He overplayed it a little bit. Not an easy play. Yeah.
His wrist?
Yeah, hit his hand. Just below the glove. He overslid it.
That's with a D.
Dizzy Dean used to say,
oh yes,
slid into third.
Right. Neil Walker better from the left side than the right. He'll shave about 150 points off his OPS, making him bat right-handed. So then the question is, I'm not saying specifically to Walker, but there aren't too many Chipper Joneses and Lance Berkmans, although he had pretty good splits too, right? Berkman? He,
you know, there was a time where he was more credible from the right side, and later in his career he didn't do much from the right side.
Most guys have a stronger side. A lot of times the power is in the side where they don't hit for as high an average. But if you have a split of a couple of 100 points of OPS, it's probably at some point worth asking. If I go left on left, could I be a little better than right on left or vice versa?
Right, right.
Shane Victorino went through that last year, although I think maybe an injury was the reason. 2-1 on Walker. Sherholtz moving to his left, and he grabs it, and that's the inning. 2 outs, single, no runs after an inning and a half. 0-0.
Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Grab some Buds. Great times are waiting.
Garrett Cole gets ready for his second inning of work. Junior Lake will start it. He hit a booming home run last night.
It was after Mike Bolton hit a kind of a fly ball, wind-aided home run, but this one needed no help. That was large.
7th homer of his young career. playing leadoff man here in the second, batting 5th in the lineup. Cole's first pitch is a strike. Another game got started before we did. Oakland leading Minnesota 5-1. They're in the 6th inning at Target Field. Josh Donaldson, former Cub farmhand, and former Cub Sam Fuld have gone deep. Brian Dozier with his 3rd for the Twins. One and 2. Basically, Cole replaces A.J. Burnett in their rotation. Jeff Locke's on the DL. You have Edinson Volquez, who's the number 5.
When Cole got the call up last year and Charlie Morton came off the DL right about the same time. It really took off.
Blake went, and that's a strikeout. Second for Cole here early on. Cubs injury report is brought to you by Illinois Bone and Joint Institute. Jake Arrieta today with AA Tennessee, his 2nd rehab outing. You see what he did in Pensacola, so building up that pitch count. 66 pitches today. Illinois Bone and Joint Institute, helping you move better so you could live better. Visit ibji.com. That word from buddy Mick Gillespie. That ball's going to be into right as Sanchez was playing well off the line. So Castro with another base hit. He's now 9 for his last 18. They said Jake Arrieta started slow but finished strong today. 66 pitches, 40 strikes for Arrieta. And the rest of the Cubs minor league report. Pretty intriguing guy. Carlos Pimentel has been missing some bats. C.J. Edwards, we always like to keep an eye on his work. Albert Almora off to a very good start. And Javier Baez with his first multi-hit game of the season at Iowa, hitting just 136. But it's still very early. Dan Vogelbach with a home run for Daytona.
And Pimentel for Iowa, 6 innings, 3 hits, 10 punch outs.
I think he's necessarily a stuff guy, but knows what he's doing.
Jackson and Vitters went deep in that game for Iowa.
Horrible news for the White Sox. Their right fielder Avisail Garcia done for the year.
Ooh, man.
Got a torn labrum.
Diving for a ball in the outfield.
Alt has 2 homers. They both come against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And both off Wandy Rodriguez.
They went the other way against Wandy on a fastball over in Pittsburgh. This was a breaking ball down that he lifted into the basket in left.
Back to the mound. 1-6-3 to end the inning. 0-0. We finish 2 at Wrigley.
Before Navarro, hit and run is on, and there's the throw to second, and Navarro has a stolen base. How about that? And the crowd, Deanna Navarro with the stolen base. He wants to pick up the bag.
We say it all the time.
That's our speed replay, brought to you by Xfinity. We had a lot of fun with DeHonor last year. Had a terrific season. Now catching with the Blue Jays and a stolen base. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Fun guy, great attitude, and not his first stolen base in his career. He has 11. Busted out in a big way. Had 5 for the Rays in 09.
One and 0 on Clint Barmas. Now the backup shortstop. Javier Baez has homered today for the Iowa Cubs. They're hosting Nashville, so he's hit 2 on the season. Holt gets Barmas. Got that note on Twitter from the Cubs Word. Thank you for that. And you can reach us via email, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Please keep in touch. And send us your Cubs selfies at hashtag WGN Cubs, and we may use it in our WGN fan cam. Maybe they're taking a selfie right now. A 1-0 to Cole, in there for a strike. Baez homer was a 2-run shot off Jimmy Nelson, the Brewers' top prospect, and it was on an 0-2 pitch. And the Randy Wayhole for the voice of the I-Cubs. Wood with a 1-2. He bounced it in front of the plate.
Trying to get Cole to chase the curveball.
Deep breath. Here comes the next one. Full count with Marte on deck.
Yep. Willie just kind of put the hands up. Here we go. Going right down the middle.
Last night's game was a 2-run decision for the Cubs, but they didn't feel like it. Pirates came back late to make the score look closer than it was. Everything before that in this season series, a 1-run game.
It was 7-1, and then the Pirates chimed in with 4 more solo home runs. 2 in the 7th, 2 more in the 9th. 1 more base runner, and it would have gotten a little tense down there in that Cub dugout the way the wind was blowing out last night. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Really? Wow.
I was reaching for my red pen. Wow. You see, I'm with you, Travis. Let's see what Pitch Tracks has for us. Yeah.
Strike
3.
Even though it is about 60 degrees, Garrett Cole asks for the jacket at first base. It's Mark Carlson, played umpire today. On one of these really cold days, a pitcher should ask for a cup of coffee as well.
Yeah. Bad boy run out there.
Put a top on it so when you're running it doesn't spill. But
I always said, you know, it's like showing everybody you're part of that fraternity of pitchers. You get to wear your jacket on the field. You know, when I was a kid, I wasn't a scout, but I remember the scouts used to wear their uniform to school. I was always envious. They get to wear that uniform.
One and one on Marte. There it is inside. Maybe Lester Strode can hook up Garrett Cole.
Rounding third, you grab it from the third base coach like you're running a marathon.
Diving stop by not a good throw though, and everybody's safe. A wild throw to second. He knew he had no play on Marte because he runs well, but you've got the pitcher running to second, and it's going to be an infield hit.
Great glove work by Olt. You know, I think as he tried to plant his foot, he caught a little bit of the bag, and that may have upset his balance a little bit as he makes this throw to second base. He wasn't able to get fully extended back into a natural throwing position. Cole's ready to give up the ship. He's just drifting out towards center field. Cole running, he might have had a little more time to set his feet, but you get an idea of the glove work of Mike Cole. Very good reputation defensively as he worked his way through the Rangers organization.
Tabata. Ball one. Now Travis Wood's season last year was really good. Don't look at his record. That was not indicative. He went 9-12, but had a 3.11 ERA. Went 200 innings. Not give up a lot of hits.
The league hit .222 against him.
One of three Cubs left-handed starters to make the National League All-Star team in the last half century. Ted Lilly, Dick Ellsworth, the others. That's a strike.
.311 ERA he fashioned last year, good for 12th in the NL.
Diving stop, Castro throw to third, and another one a little late as Cole is still alive. Infield hit, so two diving stabs over there on the left side of the infield, but they can't get an out. The bases are loaded. This has been an adventure for Garrett Cole too.
Garrett Cole should have been called out on the pitch, on the 3-2 pitch. Could have been out at second, could have been out at third, and he lives. This is another outstanding play by Castro. He made a couple sparkling plays 2 nights ago.
So a walk and back-to-back infield singles, and now it's McCutchen.
Really qualify either of those hits as cheap. Those balls really well struck. Mentioned last time McCutchen was up that Travis Wood has dominated him so far in their confrontations. With the bases loaded, he's been really, really good. One hopper to the mound would work just fine.
Sure would. That helps. It's 0-2. Thing up in the air today is trouble. swing and a miss. I remember that at bat. That could loom large later. Best hitter in the ballpark, and Wood strikes him out on a curve.
Yeah, snapped off a real good curveball. He doesn't throw many, so he's got the element of surprise in his favor, and he executes the pitch beautifully. Great call by Wellington Castillo, and good tight curveball by Wood, getting a punch out when he needed it.
Well, you mentioned it before. He is a fly ball pitcher, but in his first start, he only got 4 fly balls, 10 ground balls against the Phillies. And as you've seen this inning, Pirates have been, when they've made contact, hitting the ball on the ground as well. 2-0 with the bases full. And you know, Alvarez wants to swing the bat here with 3 men on.
Guys that get paid to drive in runs tend to get a little antsy in this situation right here. He wants to take a big rip.
And he does. 2-1.
Pulled off the cutter. Good pitch.
Strike on another cutter. 2-2. You don't always get that call.
No.
But it's a strike. Swing and a miss, and he gets out of the inning. He strikes out McCutchen. And then Alvarez, and they leave him loaded.
Manage the game along with Ricky Renteria. Log on to WGNTV.com right now and click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by the Great Escape Pools, patio sets, play sets, hot tubs, and more.
Great job by Travis Wood. Middle of the order. Bases loaded. He struck out both McCutchen and Alvarez.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. Sometimes that defines your day, right? You know, in every game for a starting pitcher, you're going to have at least one, likely two crisis moments. A chance where things can get away from you, and boy, did he get tough when he needed to.
His catcher will start things at a really good night last night. 2 for 3 with a walk and a double. Cole paints the outside corner. Three hits for the Pirates. The Cubs have 1. And foul off to the right. Cardinals are off today. Be in St. Louis tomorrow night. Offense off to a bit of a slow start. They're hitting under 200 with runners in scoring position. Hitting what, 330 last year.
Crazy what they did last year. Unsustainable.
Strike 3 swinging. Before Wood bats, let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Beautiful Wrigley Field, Pirates and Cubs in the final game of the series. Len and JD and our WGN crew. 1 strike on the pitcher Travis Wood. 6 career homers for him. That's not fair.
But justified, because Wood is a good hitter. 3 of those home runs coming last year.
Survival mode now, down 0-2.
Well, if you were to have an office pool, National League pitchers most likely to throw no hitter, and you pulled this guy's name out of the hat, Garrett Cole, you could do a lot worse. He's got that kind of stuff.
He does. Called strike 3. He won't get one today after the Castros single. Bonifacio will walk, a steal, and he was caught. Stole second. Nab trying to get third. Shows bunt, takes a strike. Play him the opposite way in the outfield, but pinched in on the corners on the infield, pretty straight up the middle. Whatever they've done hasn't worked, and I don't know if anything would have worked here these first 2 weeks.
No, if you look at a spray chart for Bonifacio, you're going to see balls hit all over the diamond. You know, more to the middle and the opposite side than on the pull side, but pull some balls through the hole. He'll yank one down the first base line from time to time as a left-handed hitter. Actually been better in his career from the right side of the plate.
Cole, once he bobbled, and you could tell he was hurrying on what should have been a routine play. Once he clanked it, he had no shot, and that's an error.
Kind of looked like a baby giraffe going after that one. The ball came off the plate, or the hard dirt in front of home plate with a little top spin, and I think that bounce fooled him. Had a little more pace on it, but clearly a play that should have been made.
Well, the inning continues. Now Kalish. Big cut and a miss. So Jeff Samardzija tomorrow night against right-hander Joe Kelly. Carlos Villanueva and Adam Wainwright on Saturday, and we will have on WGN Edwin Jackson and Michael Wacha Sunday afternoon. Cubs and Cards. They have a new ballpark village, kind of a big entertainment center right outside the ballpark with a new Cardinal Hall of Fame.
It's up and running.
Yeah.
Been working on that for a while.
They have a barber shop.
Probably go out there and get some toasted ravioli in a concrete.
I think Cubs Cardinals in St. Louis, you will find more fans, larger percentage of fans of both teams wearing their team's jerseys than any other matchup in baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty. All the red
all
and blue.
Red and blue.
Yep.
Bonifacio runs, a pitch is inside, bad throw, and it's going to get into center. It'll be their second error of the inning.
Hey.
Bonifacio's going to try to score, and he will! He just kept on running. What a heads-up play by Bonifacio.
Yeah, and Gary Jones. A daring send there by Gary Jones. A stolen base, E2, and then a little lackadaisical getting this ball back in. You talk about manufacturing a run. Bonifacio assuming nothing. Wow, what a gift.
I think everybody just assumed that he was going to stop.
Yep. Gary Jones was waving him. I'm not sure if Bonifacio saw that. It looked like he was going all the way anyway.
Here's the Cubs' new third base coach. One time played in the Cubs minor league system. 2-2 from Cole. Called strike 3, and the inning is over. But Emilio Bonifacio has been the team's MVP, maybe the league MVP here in the first 2 weeks. 1-0.
For corporate gatherings, family reunions, and bachelor or bachelorette parties. Individual and group tickets are available for all games. For more details, go to WrigleyvilleRooftops.com or call 773-248-ROOF.
Cubs leading 1-0 because of that guy.
Now, what a turnaround. Pirates have the bases loaded, 1 out. Their 3-4 hitters coming up get nothing. Cubs go punch out, ground ball to the mound. And ultimately it turns into a run because of a couple of errors and some great hustle by Bonifacio.
Driven foul. Look out. A 1-2 offering. Fouled into the upper deck.
Like every time Travis tries to shoot to that outside corner with his fastball, it runs back over the plate on him. You can command the outside corner down and away to these right-handed hitters. It's such a good complementary pitch for him because of all the cutters he throws in.
He got him. Ball strike 3.
The Cubs baseball summer camps offer children ages 5 to 13 of all abilities the ultimate major league experience for 6 one-week sessions in various Chicago area locations. Join fellow teammates for a week of top-notch baseball instruction, exclusive access, and unforgettable moments. Visit Cubs.com/camps to sign up.
5 strikeouts for Travis Wood. Hey, we know that guy. Former Cub pitcher Ryan Dempster taking the year off and enjoying a game in the bleachers. How about that?
That's awesome. Great way to spend the day.
2-1 on Tony Sanchez. Singled in the second. His hands high as he gets ready to hit, and they lower. He takes a cut, missed it. 2-2.
Change up away. Now they're going hard in.
Oh, Sanchez. Way late.
Protecting against that off-speed pitch, and then a little emergency hack on the fastball.
6 strikeouts, and the last 4 batters in the Pirate lineup has struck out. Lower leverage here in the 4th than in the 3rd. And he got McCutchen and Alvarez. Here's Walker. He flied to right in the 2nd.
Talking about Walker last time up, and would it be prudent for him to give up switch hitting because of his struggles last year? But a couple of years ago, he was pretty good from this side of the plate, and Clint Hurdle has said that he feels more confident now than last year in Walker's abilities from the right side. We'll see how it plays out. 16 home runs last year, all coming as a left-handed hitter. What's going on down there? Hey, hey.
Hey, pay attention to me. 1-2. Shot foul. Pitch in the dirt, and another strikeout for Wood. Fans this side. Cubs lead 1-0 here in the fourth.
Thanks Sergeant Damon Collins, along with all of our servicemen and women, for their selfless dedication, courage, and sacrifice in protecting our freedom and defending this great country.
Great to see Sergeant Damon Collins here at the ballpark. Currently an engineer technician in Chicago with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Should also note Sergeant Collins is stage 3 cancer survivor. Has been in remission now for 9 months. Here he's doing well. 1 strike on Rizzo. One and one. Did you hear his post-game comments? Well, first of all, Jason Hamill threw him under the bus because apparently after the game last night, he congratulated Hamill on his first National League win. Ground ball through the shift into right center. As Hamill said, apparently Rizzo was not in Pittsburgh last week when Hamill beat the Pirates. And he said he missed 3 years I pitched with the Rockies as well. So they had some fun with that. But he was asked about his recent success, and he kind of played dumb, just kind of keeping it simple, just going to hit it hard. I don't worry about where it goes. If I tried to think about the shift, I wouldn't even make contact. That stuff's above my head, you know. I think there's something to that. Just not worrying about it.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
trying to have to explain it.
And the most successful guys in the game are the ones that just kind of go out there and don't overthink it. Trust their skill set.
A piece of the catcher Sanchez. 1-1 on Sherholtz. Cubs lead 1-0 on an unearned run. Well, I'd say it was earned. Maybe technically not earned, but
he worked hard for it, didn't he?
He did. Bonifacio certainly earned it.
Look at the action on this breaking pitch.
Cole coming in, winning 5 consecutive starts dating back to September of last year.
Pretty impressive stuff for the rookie last year, pitching in the heat of the pennant race, delivering down the stretch the way he did. He was the National League Rookie of the Month in September. More importantly, he was just a big piece of that playoff club.
Beat Lance Lynn in 2 of the division series. So the game-winning RBI. There's a roller into right center. Rizzo makes a turn. Here he goes to third, and the Cubs have him at the corners with nobody out.
Time Sherholtz able to stay back on the breaking ball and put a good swing on it. So kind of a cheap run last inning, but now a chance to add on, and might not need much today the way Travis Wood is pitching.
The pitch to Junior Lake. Bounces foul. Cole lost game 5 to Adam Wainwright in St. Louis, but wasn't bad. 5 innings, 2 runs on 3 hits.
He heads up for a ball in the dirt here. Right-handed pitchers like to try to get Junior to chase that breaking ball off the outside corner and down, and with the action he gets on his breaking ball, that could be a tough pitch to block for Sanchez. Try to crowd him again with a fastball.
Close eye on Sherholtz. Pirates will give up a run if they can turn 2. Just attempt to do so. One ball, 1 strike. That's Castro on deck in the 6th spot today. Swing and a miss on the curve.
Home run swing. Fooled by the breaking ball.
Sherholtz runs, swing and a miss for strike 3. Sherholtz gets a stolen base. That's the first out of the inning.
Cubs guessing along with Cole and Sanchez. They're figuring breaking ball turned Sherholtz loose. Looking for a little contact, but if you don't get it, you got a better chance on the breaking ball of stealing that bag. Bonifacio with a couple of steals today. Now Nate gets one, his first this year. Pirates will pull the infield in.
Against the red-hot Starlin Castro. Wood got out of a big jam earlier. Cole trying to do the same here as Sanchez knocks it down. much contact here lately. The last 9 outs recorded have been strikeouts. The kick, the pitch, swing and a miss. Now, that first pitch was a fastball that was low and kind of in the dirt. Catchers will tell you that's the hardest pitch to block because a fastball is never a pitch you expect to be in the dirt. Breaking balls, you're ready. Saved a run. Sanchez just getting in the way. Look at that. That's a tough one.
A lot of times with the breaking ball, you ask for it in the dirt.
Yeah.
And that run he gets at 97 running in, that's a thumb breaker. If your catcher catches that the wrong way, that can really hurt. It's interesting that the Pirates were playing for 2 in that first and third situation, but willing to pull the infield in here for second and third, where base hit likely scores 2. One out in the inning now, and Hurdle figures, well, I'm getting down towards the bottom of the order, less likely that they're going to put a big crooked number up. Be a little more risky pulling his guys in, and also some managers like to do it because it just gets in the head of the hitter. He sees that infield in, changes his approach.
Another block by Sanchez. He's considered the catcher of the future. Backs up Russell Martin. A little help from Mark Carlson as the ball just got through the 5-hole.
Down, 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 trying to get Castro to expand his zone. So far, he's been pretty patient. See what happens here on 3-1.
In the left, a base hit. Rizzo scores. Sherholt stops at third. Castro against the drawn-in infield makes it 2-0.
Well-placed ground ball between third and short, good enough to get the job done. Didn't have a whole lot of room there, but he was able to sneak it through.
Like a World Series ring, doesn't it? The Red Sox last year.
I wonder how many people watching at home are texting their buddies that might be in the bleachers. Hey, dude, Ryan Dempster's out there. You might want to go say, hey, take a look at his World Series ring.
0-2. That's a pitcher's strike.
Yep. Only piece of that is a hitter.
Tapper, that is foul.
Sherholt's down there at third base, a heady player, good base runner. He'll be going anything on the ground. He's coming home. Double play ends the inning, so it's a base runner at third. You're not reading the ball off the bat. You're just going. If it's on the ground, you're going. Missed that one by much.
Does not have a short, compact swing. It's pretty long, but he's got a quick swing. Gets away. Sherholtz will try to score. Throw to the plate. Safe. He got in. Castro advances to second as well.
Now there's that ball in the dirt I was talking about, and that breaking ball out of the zone. Sanchez pretty quick back there, athletic behind the plate, but he had a long way to go to block that one. Close but safe. Good call by Mark Carlson.
Have taken advantage of every little miscue by the Pirates. 2 errors in the 3rd inning to set up their first run. A wild pitch, allowing them to get another as Olt strikes out. 7 punch outs for Cole. Now it's Castillo. Curve strike to Castillo. Cubs lead 3-0. Base hit left field. Here comes Castro. Marte's throw. In time. Safe. No. Got in. And Clint Hurdle will come out. Sanchez, I figured, would drop the ball with Castro sliding in, and now all of a sudden Castillo heads to third. Time wasn't called. I have a feeling this will be challenged. Maybe he got his foot in.
I don't know if Mark Carlson is saying that he blocked the plate illegally, and that's why he's awarding him home plate, but it looked to me like Sanchez did not block the plate until he had the ball. And this is a judgment call by the home plate umpire.
So we talked about it. We had not seen the new collision rule come into play, but that might be it right there. Yeah.
The catcher has to give the base runner an unimpeded path to the plate. And Carlson almost looks apologetic about it. Here's a great throw by Starlin Marte. Good aggressive send with 2 outs. Now once he has the ball, he's fine blocking the plate. The question is, did he impede Castro's path, not give him anywhere to go? And well, I don't know. Or maybe he's just calling him safe. Maybe he's just saying his foot got in before the tag.
Well, they would be challenging, I think, if that were the case, and Clint Hurdle not challenging it. See, he never drops the ball. I think he's out. Although he had it in his bare hand. Well, at any rate, Cubs will take it.
Man, it's hard to tell. Very difficult to tell. You know, the ball at some point went from his glove to his hand.
That hits Wood, and he will head down to first.
He's got the ball and the glove together here initially, but now it's in his bare hand as the tag is being applied.
Yeah, Carlson can't see that.
No, I don't think so. And then the hand goes back to the glove. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's what you say. I think he's saying that Sanchez impeded the runner. This is why it'd be nice to get a verbal answer.
Yeah, they're going to have to tighten
by way of
that
announcement on what the call was.
See, the throw is leading you into the path of the base runner. I think as a catcher, you're okay. The rule states you can't block the plate without the ball, but if you're leaning in to catch a one-hop throw, So, they're giving the umpire some wiggle room as to how they're going to make that ruling.
Meanwhile, what a play by Castillo. He just kept running. He ended up at third. Castillo gets an RBI on that base hit. Wood got clipped by the pitch. A swing and a miss by Bonifacio.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe there is. I haven't heard. So these plays at the plate, if the ruling is going to be that it was an illegal block of the plate, there has to be some kind of signal to indicate that, right? I mean, if there isn't, they should come up with one.
I totally agree.
It can't just be safe or out. It has to be safe because of this.
See where Travis got hit. Now he does protect that pitching elbow, but that's always scary. Looked like the forearm. Just a glancing blow. Well, it seemed to get Tony Sanchez a little more directly. 0-2 the count. Here's a pitch. Fouled back.
Cubs have had base runners in every inning. They put a lot of pressure on Garrett Cole. He can throw a lot of pitches in this inning in particular. Nothing going on in the Pirate bullpen.
McCutchen will make the grab. The Cubs add 3 runs. Boy, they have taken extra bases all day. And it's 4-0.
Your guest to an awesome view of Wrigley Field from the Budweiser Bleacher Suite. The Bleacher Suite features a sports bar atmosphere. They've got new TVs, high top tables. It's a great one-of-a-kind Wrigley Field experience. The suite can hold up to 100, includes food, drinks, and parking. For more information, visit Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-4200.
Cubs lead 4-0. Bang bang play at the plate. Runner called safe. Still trying to piece together what the call was at home plate. Our assumption is Runner was called safe because the catcher did not give him a lane. Because there's no way Carlson sees the ball not in the glove with the catcher's back to him, and I have to believe Clint Hurdle would have challenged the call had it been a tag play.
So again, you know, if the throw leads the catcher into the path of the base runner, he's got to be allowed to go get that ball. Oh my goodness, he's striking everybody out.
It's missing bats.
Going to run out of red ink.
6 consecutive strikeouts for Wood. Now we're looking at the conversation between Carlson and Hurdle, and it may just be that Carlson thought Castro got his foot in under the glove, and then the Pirates told the manager, yeah, don't challenge. Who knows? Cole skies it foul. Bounce to third, lots of time for Alt, and he gets him by several steps. Didn't strike him out, but he got him out.
Ironic. Got to make contact in the last half hour as the pitcher. Another look at the play. Castro going feet first.
Ultimately, I think they got it right because, as you saw, the ball was not actually in the glove when the tag was applied. Are you finding the more you watch a replay, the less certain you are of what actually occurred? I usually have about 2 or 3 looks, and then diminishing returns kick in. 4th, 5th, 6th look, then I start questioning myself.
Right, and so it just speaks to how difficult it is to be a major league umpire and have to make those calls bang bang without the benefit of replay, or at least what it used to be. Now they do have the benefit of replay.
Right. And it's going in spurts. I mean, we went the whole weekend against the Phillies with, we had 1 challenge maybe. Looked like in the first series we were going to have 3 or 4 different looks at plays every day. A lot of it depends on the score.
Cubs scored a big run last night on an overturned call. Junior Lake was called out at first base on a double play, and Ricky Renteria appealed it. He overturned it. Lake was safe. Run counted.
Marte walks. You will not want to miss a 2-hour look at Wrigley Field. Wrigley 100, a century celebration, April 20th. That's 10 days from now, 7 to 9 Central Time on WGN, with an encore presentation on the 26th at 4 o'clock on both WGN and WGN America. Seen some clips, and it will be worth your time as Tabata takes ball 1 and Castillo will talk it over with his pitcher. Stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. That is David Keckner, an alum of Second City. Saturday Night Live, Todd Packer on The Office, Champ Kine from Anchorman. And I assume, although I probably shouldn't, that he's a little more low-key than the characters he generally plays.
Well, we're about to find out here in fairly short order. Wonder if I can negotiate that hat away from him. I kind of like that lid he was sporting. Well, after the walk to Marte and then ball one to top of it, Wellington Castillo went out and had a chat with Travis Wood, and probably something along the lines of, hey, don't worry too much about the base runner. Got 2 outs, a 4-run lead.
Runner goes. Throw to second. Safe. Cubs thought they had him. Marte got in.
Travis Wood has been very difficult to run against in his career. Short hop throw, the tag applied by Bonifacio. Trying to sell it. He starts running off the field. Good call. He was safe. Good look. Good camera work.
Hold on the ground to Alt. He'll throw to first. And the Pirates are done. In the 5th. Still 4-0 Cubs.
Weekend in St. Louis. There are the game times and where you can find us. Friday, Saturday. Well, Friday CSN Plus, Saturday on CSN, and back here on WGN Sunday for the finale of that 3-game set with the Birds. Ford, go further than any one of Ford's many fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com.
Just
Poppy.
Enjoying
Poppy.
a ball game and taking a nap. Long run in. McCutchen the slide, the grab, and the out to get Kalish.
He can close in a hurry.
If even the most ardent Cub fan, if you can't appreciate how good Andrew McCutchen is, you probably don't like baseball that much. It's no fun to watch him do stuff like that against your team.
Anthony thinking anything but fastball there and just even ready to pull the trigger. He's been on base constantly of late.
Walk, a single, and a run so far in this one. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Cubs encourage the use of public transportation to get to and from Wrigley Field. You can ride your bike. Use the Cubs courtesy bike check located near the corner of Clark and Waveland. For drivers, the Cubs provide free parking and shuttle services on night and weekend games from 3900 North Rockwell. For details, visit Cubs.com. Sherholtz fouls back. Well, if you're just matching up stuff, Garrett Cole probably wins most of his starts. But it's got to play, and today Travis Wood's stuff is translated a little better. They're both missing a lot of bats, I can tell you that. Cole has struck out 8, and so has Wood. Got him looking. Cubs 4, Pirates nothing after 5. Summary: Starlin Castro and Anthony Rizzo in particular have had terrific homestands. 2 more hits for Castro today, and an RBI and a run. Travis Wood, 1 off his career high in strikeouts, and he's still working. Start something special with great leases and low financing on a new Honda. Visit shophonda.com or visit your local Honda dealer. The pitch to McCutchen is off the plate inside on a cutter. A's beat the Twins today 6-1 the final. Straley over Pelfrey. Twins held to just 3 hits.
McCutchen a strikeout victim twice this afternoon.
Closer by committee starts for the A's. Jim Johnson demoted out of the 9th inning role, as McCutchen will take first on a leadoff walk.
Set the sights. Funny getting those 2-0, 3-1, 3-0 counts sometimes, and you're just trying to throw one down the middle, and focus isn't quite as concentrated. And also, a lot of times the catcher will sit down the middle, and the pitch will be just off the outside a little bit, and you have to reach for it. If he were setting outside and framed it up, you might get the call. But you're not going to do. You're not going to sit on the edge if you're Wellington Castillo and it's a 3-0 pitch, and you get a 4-run lead.
Alvarez gets under one, and this is Junior Lake to make the catch. One away. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Nothing. The Cubs have the lead here in the 6th, trying to win a series for the first time in 3 tries.
It's Travis Wood here. That previous pitch, how he just kind of lifts his leg and holds it before delivering home. He's tried a couple of those step off quick throws over to first. Now a more conventional move. Normally you're not worried about a club running down 4, but we saw Marte last inning steal a bag, and McCutchen certainly capable. So Wood's not going to assume anything out there.
Ball 1. Close pitch.
Just trying to leave the ball out and up a little bit to these right-handed hitters. Needs to get back on top. Not a bad idea. Throw a changeup. Pitch that forces you to stay on top and finish. Trying to quick pitch or slide step with a speedy guy on base is a tendency for your body to rush forward and the hand to drag, and when that happens you tend to be up in the zone.
One and 2 to Gabby Sanchez. Deep breath by Travis. The ball is high. It's Tony Sanchez, the catcher, on deck. We'll go back to the 3rd inning when the Pirates had the bases loaded and 1 out, and Wood struck out McCutchen and Alvarez. Time kept the game scoreless. Cubs would score a run in the bottom of the inning, then 3 more in the 4th. Right field, Scherholtz over near the line. He makes the catch. McCutchen heads back to first. 2 outs.
And normally in those situations, bases loaded, one out, middle of the order up, we talk about minimizing or limiting the damage in those situations. Well, you can't do any better than 0.
Strike one.
Yeah, he's been found.
Usually gets shown on national television in the day and age of tweeting and texting. Hard to hide. Inside 1-1.
Guarantee we outed him, right? I'm guarantees. Hey, he's out there. He got that U.S. Postal Service hat on.
Demp's hard to miss. He was a very popular Cub. Loved his time here. Walker on deck, 2-1 on Sanchez. McCutchen walked to start the inning, but he's still at first with 2 outs. Big lead now by McCutchen. Not running the 3-1, swing and a miss. Sanchez seems to be guessing. He's been late on a couple in this game. Pitches that are under 90 miles an hour.
Over 100 pitches. Command in this inning not quite as sharp as it has been.
McCutchen goes on the 3-2, called strike 3. No argument from Sanchez, and he's tied his career high with 9 strikeouts.
Live streaming sports service is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Cubs.com for details.
Travis Wood has been terrific all afternoon, leading the Pirates 4-0. Junior Lake will start it. He got a souvenir foul ball. It's a happy camper. 1-1. Pitch. It's low.
That's a baseball fan there. I used to have a sweatshirt like that, where they were all iron-ons. You still have iron-ons? You remember iron-ons?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I had a baseball one and a football one.
Guessing that one came out in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, looking at the logos. Alvarez got rid of it quickly, and he got Lake. Yeah, the Blue Jay logo gives away the era. Say like 2002, maybe.
I don't know. I'm not that strong on my logo history.
Yeah. It'll take a few years. There's Castro, scored that run in the 4th inning. And thinking Mark Carlson just called him safe because he thought he got in. And saw a good tweet. Bob Provost said if it was obstruction, Castillo probably shouldn't have been able to advance, and remember, he ended up at 3rd.
Right. Yeah.
So
probably would have called it a dead ball.
I think he just thought the foot got in. And Clint Hurdle decided not to challenge. Swing and a miss. Ball and 2 strikes. But this will not be the last situation this year that will be slightly confusing. I guarantee you that. So we try to sort our way through not only replay but the new collision rule. Line shot caught by Marte. Castro nearly had his 3rd hit. Hasn't been an easy out, has he, in this series?
No, and the hardest ball he's hit today is the only out he made. Brian Schlitter continues to throw down in the pen. Travis Wood's day may be done.
Gaylord Perry, all the teams he pitched for. That's great. That's a Braves home jersey. Called strike 3 to end the inning. Whammy! Coming up. Time now to check out our WGN Cubs fan cam. Pompeii by Bastille. Tweet and send us your Cubs selfies at hashtag WGN Cubs, and we may use them in our fan cam. David Koechner is here. Anchorman star of The Office. You know him as Todd Packer, Champ Kine. Go down the list. Nice to have you here.
A lot of Despicable Men I've played.
I was going, David, I was going to try to find a way to casually ease my way into that.
No, there's no way to say it. These are bad guys.
There's a base hit for Neil Walker, and that ball will get to the wall, and Walker will have a double. You're a big sports fan, I know, right?
A little bit. It's interesting. I played, Champ Kind in Anchorman as the sportscaster, and I did a sports movie called The Comebacks where I play a coach. So a little bit. I can't go deep. I can't pretend.
We don't want you to do more than you're
start
capable
dropping
of.
some sports trivia on you here. And
yeah,
lock
exactly.
you up.
Exactly. Let me call the rest of the game.
Cubs lineup 1968. Go. That'll be it for Travis Wood. And we'll continue on with David Koechner. Brian Schlitter coming on, and a good hand for Travis. Is not allowed to run, although Walker is at second base with nobody out.
There's 9 strikeouts, tying a career high he set a couple of years ago against the Pirates. So now Brian Schlitter comes on. It's Travis Snyder who's going to pinch hit for Clint Barmas. Brian, no wins, no losses, 5 appearances, a 180 earned run average. Worked in the first game of this series in relief of Edwin Jackson. Pitched an inning in the third, but only threw 16 pitches. Bullpen pretty well set to go here today after Jason Hamill went 7 in the game last night.
With David Koechner, who will sing the stretch coming up. Runner at second, nobody out here in the 7th.
Do you guys know the tune?
Yeah, this one here? Yeah. Got it? You've been working on it?
You'll be in and out in about 29 seconds. If done properly.
You guys going to put me on a timer? I like that.
Well, it goes by fast.
Yeah.
It really does.
Let's drag it out.
Well, slow is good. Some people try to race through it. And then Gary Pressey has to catch up with them.
Pace myself, that's what you're saying.
Right.
All right.
That's a strike.
So in town doing some stand-up.
Doing stand-up tomorrow night at the Park West. Friday night.
And I read this you haven't been doing it 3 or 4 years.
About 4 years, yeah. But I've been doing live for 25 years.
Yeah.
So
we're Second City.
Yeah, Improv Olympic. None of this is new territory.
So does stand up feel like improv?
In a lot of ways, yeah. It just live is live, and it's just that electric communion with the audience, the thing I love. See where you can take them.
Inside, and it's 1-2. Yeah, you're able to take some of these characters to some pretty interesting places, which has to be fun in some ways because you can do things you could never do.
Could never do.
Yeah.
Say some horrible things you'd never get away with in life.
Right.
And there's no consequence.
The 1-2 pitch is outside, 2-2. How much ad-libbing and just kind of, once you get into the characters everybody knows best, that you have freedom to kind of say, I think Champ would have said this here?
Well, here's the thing. Adam McKay, the director and also the writer of the film, is really magnanimous, and he's so giving. We do 3 or 4 takes of every scene, and then it's just open the gates and do what you want. It's really a great place.
3-2. So
they create an atmosphere that's just fun and joyful. And so there's no, you can't lose. There's no fear. It's just take a swing. And then Adam will throw out new lines. So it's almost like a party. I liken it to calling a baseball game.
There you go. Yeah.
Say whatever you want to say.
Say what you want.
Well, if we ever did the Showtime version of play-by-play, I think Todd Packer would fit in quite nicely on that one. But this is a family show. 3-2 on Snyder.
So don't be Packer right now. I get it. I got you. Yeah, people often think I'm a horrible guy just because of the people I play, but nothing could be further from the truth.
Here's a pitch. They're foul. Snyder hanging in there against Brian Schlitter. He's from Park Ridge. I talked to Brian today. He spent the winter here, and it was a rough one.
Yeah, what a winter to spend.
Wow.
That'll test your mettle. Pray for spring ball.
But you want to get out to Arizona in February for sure. Another 3-2. Hit to deep center. Lake going back, and it is gone. That's a 2-run homer. And the lead down to 4-2 now. Snyder off the bench with a pinch hit blast.
Snyder hit one of the 5 home runs that the Pirates hit in the ball game last night. Those were all solo home runs. This one cuts the lead in half.
Not a bad place to be. I'll take half at the end of the game.
Yeah, half is good.
Yeah.
So you used to hang out out here. You had a buddy
Buddy lived right over there. The building's gone now, but he had a two floors. They probably like 5 or 6 guys living there. We used to pull a couch out in front of his front yard, and with a television, watch the Cubs game right there. Get the occasional foul ball over there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Ishikawa. So you produce content for your YouTube channel. The place of the internet in terms of comedy. I mean, the Funny or Die stuff. I mean, if I saw the AT&T spoof with True Detective. I mean, once it's out, the entire world can see it within like a day.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's kind of the Wild West, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can kind of do anything you want. That's why I just want to have my foot in that space. Just so you can always produce. Content is king, right? So you always got to be producing something. I'm writing a pilot for NBC right now, and so that was great. A great exercise to do the YouTube stuff, in terms of learning different production ideas and techniques for they go into this show. So it can be a great training ground as well.
Can you let us in on the pilot, or is it?
Yeah, it's a variety show for NBC, and when I say variety, there's probably not going to be any singing or dancing. It's just a lot of different sketches, and it's going to move really fast and to be digestible in all mediums, from your phone to your computer to your television.
Bunted foul by Marte. JD dropped a little VHS reference. He said something about a tape.
Tape.
Last night.
Well, what's the appropriate term anymore? You can't call it a digital, right?
Right.
People still talk about coming out with they got a new album.
A new album,
out, yeah.
a film. Go ahead and film it, tape it. What's the other word? Point at it and make it go.
Yeah.
We should come up with a new terminology from right here in the booth, guys.
Yeah, we could make history here. Bounce back. We've already made comedy history this week. I guess news. Jeff Garland told us that Curb may be coming back.
Curb's coming
just
back?
Right at the end of the interview, he goes, "Oh, by the way, I talked to Larry the other day. We think Curb might be coming back."
Oh, wow!
Really? Okay, good.
I should make some fake announcement by the end of my time in here.
There's a base hit into right. Pirates all of a sudden, making some noise.
I just got signed by the Cubs.
There you go.
51-year-old.
Based on the first pitch.
Boy, that was weak. It slipped. It really did. I know that was weak. I was going to throw it up. I was trying to pop it up, and it slipped. I was going Dan Quisenberry.
Yeah.
Little ode to Kansas City, and it got away from me. I'll be honest.
It happens.
Oh my gosh! Look at that. Awful. Terrible. Proud.
But sell it.
Yes. That guy's bald. He is a handsome man. Well, I had to ice my shoulder before I got out there, guys. Yeah.
I'm thinking the hat. I like the hat.
If you had a full head of hair,
I
mean, that's you got to have something, right? I know that guy.
If I had a full head of hair, Tom Cruise probably wouldn't work as much. Don't you think? Be a lot of leading men out of work.
You got the ice bag. Nicely done.
He's out there. He doesn't know what he's doing. There's a phantom runner on first. I should have just thrown to first, I guess. Has anyone ever done that?
What's that?
Just thrown it to first on the first pitch rather than to home plate?
We were talking about, I think Bill Murray threw one over the backstop once.
Oh, did it? That's a high backstop.
Yeah.
That's a tough throw. That's an outfielder's throw.
There's Tabata with Marte at first. 2 runs in on the home run by Snyder.
It's amazing how your sense of a game can change. You know, Travis Wood was so good and complete control of this Pirate lineup, and Cubs are running all over the bases, taking advantage of Pirate mistakes, and here we are, one swing away from a tie ball game. Some really important pitches coming here from Schlitter.
Six hits for the Pirates. The Cubs have 5.
Just for the audience at home, just to give you an idea of what it smells like here in the box, you're getting a constant wafting of grilled onion. Just want the listeners to know.
Smell-o-vision?
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah.
SCTV.
Strike. Side step, and the pitch is inside for a ball. It's 1-1. There you go. That's right beneath us.
That's the grilled onions going on? All right.
We are.
Hi, gang.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, America. How are you? Beautiful day here.
Really is. Forecast of possible rain, but we've been all right to this point. Side.
So, Anchorman movies.
Yeah.
Get all you guys together and make. I mean, it's got to be just complete.
It's a
mayhem.
joy. It's just not mayhem.
No.
It's a joy. Everyone's a great person. They really are. Salt of the earth guys and gals, and it's just such a fun thing to do. I never wanted to end. I wish it was a television show we did for 10 years. Keeping them honest.
I thought the sequel held up very well.
Thank you.
That's very tricky.
It's so funny because everybody wanted a sequel so badly, and then when it was here, they're like, don't ruin the thing I love. Yeah, the DVD is out this week.
Hey, funny's
last
funny.
week. Yeah, you're right.
Funny is funny.
There's tons of extras on the DVD if you buy the 3-pack.
It's foul, 2-2. This game is slowed down as the Situation's gotten more serious here, as JD mentioned. Tying run all of a sudden at the plate.
I like to think of it as the next out at the plate.
Ground ball here, and you might be singing in a few seconds. Tough lefties up for the Pirates, Watson and Wilson. Marte was leaning.
$100 years this year, huh, for the field?
1914. Line caught by Castro, threw it first, and he threw it away. Ball bounces right back to Rizzo.
As planned, try to get him to run. That's an old, call that the old goose bender play. Overthrow it first when you know you're going to get the guy. Didn't work out this time, but we'll try that again. Goose bender.
And they worked on this out in Arizona quite a bit this spring.
You saw it.
Yep. Even the Rizzo face plant is a big part of trying to sell that.
Big part of it. Yeah, it's the sell. Yeah. It's kind of like a flop in basketball. But they didn't bite on it this time. We'll get them. Next out is at the plate.
You mentioned Second City. I was at the 50th
you
reunion,
did?
and it was, I mean, everybody. Oh, him, her.
Yeah.
I mean, all these great stars, and they continue to pump out SNL cast members.
Yeah,
and,
constantly, right? I think
all over the place. It's just great.
In the battle for dominance at Saturday Night Live, SNL is definitely dominant in providing great players year after year.
It's one of those things where I watch you do your work, and then you find out, oh, he was at Second City. It's not surprising.
There you go.
Your training did you well.
Yeah, I moved here from Missouri specifically to do Second City. I mean, that was my dream, and get your name on that board.
One strike on McCutchen. Just missed outside.
Looking to ground out here. Kutch wants to provide another out for the Cubbies. I think he'll provide.
Swing and a miss on a slider.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. A lot of strikes from Pittsburgh. That's one of their favorite things to do. A lot of these guys will close their eyes once the pitch is delivered because they just want to get on that bus and go home. We're going to help them do it. Third out coming up right here.
I like it. You got your Masters delivery going.
A tradition like no other.
You sit in this chair, guys, and you can't help it.
Right.
You're kind of pulled right into it.
Yeah, the hat fits too. It
the
works.
hat fits. Yeah. Did Clutch win the home run derby a couple years ago?
He may have.
He's going to win the out derby here for us. Closing his eyes.
Inside. Almost hit him.
A little breezy. Game of breeze. Something to think about. Love the graphics, guys.
Justin Grimm, James Russell. Back over to 16.
Grimm's my guy. He and I work out quite a bit, as we did today.
It's low, ball 4.
And now it's going to be Russell time.
You got to keep the drama up. That's what baseball is. It's drama with every throw, right?
David, we're going to let you get ready for the stretch.
All right, I'm going to warm up.
Thanks for stopping by, and yeah, best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
And stop by again. We'd love to have you again.
Next time it'll be unannounced.
Great. Just jump in. Also, we'll just hear a voice on headset. Oh, that's David Kirkman.
Thank you very much.
Coming up with a stretch,
right.
but first, a pitching change. 4-2 Cubs. Has tried to exploit at every opportunity, and that is James Russell against Pedro Alvarez after he struck him out twice in Pittsburgh last week. And he'll face him with 2 men on and 2 down in a 4-2 ball game. JD, if you're Alvarez, you know at some point you're probably going to have to face Russell, and this is the moment.
Yeah, and you know, because Clint Hurdle's not going to pinch hit for Alvarez, even though he does struggle against lefties, and he's struggled against Russell in his career. The home run power justifies, him staying in here. But, that's the beauty for Rick Renteria, having the 2 lefties out there in the pen. He can use Russell now, and if a situation arises later, he could use Wesley Wright.
Here's a pitch, hit high in the air to deep center. Junior Lake back, and it will go on top of the batter's eye lounge. And the Pirates have taken a 1-run lead on a 3-run homer. That's his 5th already this season.
Wow. And he has really had difficulty with the breaking ball from James Russell. He always has struggled against left-handed breaking pitches, but that one was left up in the zone. And clearly he has to be thinking breaking ball.
He got his arms extended.
Boy, unfortunate for Travis Wood. Was so good here this afternoon.
Gabby Sanchez, 5 runs here in the 7th for the Pirates. Has been long ball city in this series for them. Snyder, 2-run shot this inning. Alvarez, 3-run homer. Now 2-0. That is a strike. Alvarez is a really interesting hitter in that you can get him out. He swings and misses a lot. He strikes out a ton. But he led the league in homers last year along with Paul Goldschmidt.
He's the kind of guy, if you make pitches, you're going to be fine. If you make a mistake, he's likely going to hit it 400+ feet.
The Cubs have to do it against the Pirate bullpen. In the dirt, it's full. 3-2 on Gabby Sanchez. Ball 4. Going to bat around. Here's Tony Sanchez, but Rick Renteria is going to make a double switch and bring Justin Grimm into the ballgame.
Darwin Barney coming off the bench.
We'll sort it all out for you when we return. Now 5-4 Pirates in the 7th. Goes from second to third, so Mike Alt is out. He made the final out of the sixth. That's where the pitcher's spot will go. Barney will come in and play second and bat ninth.
Well, Justin Grimm becomes the fourth Cub pitcher to work here in the seventh inning. And he's been good so far. And Sanchez, the catcher, is up. Sanchez single first time up and kind of looked lost at the plate the last couple of ABs, striking out both times.
Gabby Sanchez at first, and here's the pitch. Low, ball one.
Kid's amped up.
2-0. Well, the one common thread this inning is working behind in the count. Fastball in. He missed it.
He's had a hard time with that pitch. That pitch down. He's getting some bad swings. Yeah, it's interesting. You hear a lot the old adage that hitting is contagious. I'm not sure I really buy that. I think a lot of times what happens when the team starts to hit the ball around a little bit, pitchers just get defensive, and it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They put themselves in hitters' counts 2-0, 3-1 because they're nibbling a little bit. And most guys, when they're in those counts, are obviously going to do some damage. Got a challenge here.
Busted bat. Bonifacio will get the out at second. And it is time for the seventh inning stretch now with David Keckner. It's brought to you by Budweiser.
For Take Me Out to the Ball Game, actor and comedian David Keckner.
All right, Cub fans, let me hear ya. A two, a three. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back, for it's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. 'Cause it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. All right, Cubbies, let's get some runs.
times the last 2 games. The latest a go-ahead 3-run shot. Got some changes now. Snyder plays right after hitting a 2-run pinch hit homer. Ishikawa now playing first. Jordy Mercer is in at short. The new pitcher is Tony Watson, left-hander.
And we saw Watson and Wilson both getting ready out there in the Pirate pen. I think right now the confidence level in Tony Watson probably a little higher than Wilson for Clint Hurdle. So now that he's got the lead, he turns the ball over to Watson. He does his job. The baton will be passed to Melanson and then ultimately Grilli, and now Garrett Cole and a chance to be the winning pitcher here today. Tough no decision for Travis Wood. But the Cubs got 9 outs to play with and down just 1.
Broken bat pop up. Walker calling for it, but Snyder, that's his play, and he makes it. Darwin Barney for the first time. Ball 1. Three Cub pitchers charged with runs in that top of the 7th. Wood, Schlitter, and Russell. Brim able to eventually get out of it. Here's a 2-1 late, a fastball. 2-2. Late has been kind of the word of the day. A lot of punch outs.
Swings and misses.
Called strike 3. It's the 11th time a Cub hitter has struck out.
Starter Garrett Cole got 10. He featured a fastball that topped out at 97 miles an hour. It was 93. Slung up there by Watson. Challenge in that Cub dugout, just to keep the energy up. You're not beat. You've let a lead get away. What felt like a win, you're now on the wrong side of. But again, plenty of time.
Fazio from the right side. Looked to bunt, then pulled it back. Well, we see where Tom Izzo's loyalties lie today.
Cubs don't score this inning, he'll have that turned inside out next.
Inside corner. Did that ever bother you? As we move around in the box, show bunt just to.
Yeah, there's some value in it, I think, for a hitter to do it. You know, most times when guys do it, they're just trying. They're taking a pitch and they're trying to upset your concentration a little bit. Ozzie Smith used to move in the box because he was guessing at what was coming, and that was very disconcerting. You're about to deliver the pitch, and all of a sudden you see Ozzie walking in the batter's box.
Sharply hit grounder. It'll be gobbled up by Jordy Mercer, and the Cubs go quietly in the 7th, trailing 5-4 as we head to the 8th. By Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer or go to shophonda.com for current offers. And by AT&T. Find out what's possible with products and services from AT&T. Rethink possible. Underway here in the Pirate 8th. Neil Walker, the batter. Big 5 spot for the Pirates in the 7th. They lead by a run. 2-0.
Walker got it started last inning. Doubling off of Travis Wood. That chased Travis. Started the parade of relievers.
Got working there. Oh, Cameron. Okay.
Maybe he's going to propose. Overthrew it a little bit.
3-1.
Better make a pitch here.
Another ball hit very well. This time it'll be caught by Lake on the warning track.
Dangerous count. Well, actually, just a little, probably above where Walker really likes it. He didn't get the head out on it.
Snyder hit the home run off Schlitter, make it a 4-2 game.
Brian, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 3 runs. There's Melancon.
Got to give the Pirates credit. I mean, they're as predictable as the sun rising every morning. They get a lead late. Melancon in the 8th. Early in the 9th. Pretty set lineup. But these tough lefties they can use before the 8th. Schneider foul tips. Count full at 3-2. Bold foul on the ground.
I think what makes Melancon so valuable is the fact that he's so tough on left and right-handed hitters. So there's no real matchup game an opposing manager can play against him. His stuff may actually play better against left-handed hitters because of the cutter that he throws in on their hands.
And he and Grilly are a nice fit because he's cutter curve, really fastball slider. So they're pretty different pitchers, even though they're both righties. Then you got those lefties I mentioned. They give you a lot of different looks. Snyder went after the high fastball, couldn't find it. Ishikawa pinch hit in the 7th and flied to left. Now playing first. And a base hit between Castro and Bonifacio over there on the left side. The inning alive for Marte, who's reached his last 3 trips after striking out in the first.
Marte came into this ball game having hit safely in 9 of his last 10 here at Wrigley, adding 375 over that stretch. 342 lifetime average here.
His first offering is a strike on the inside corner. The 0-1. No, nothing in 2.
Good sink.
Grimm was drafted out of high school by Jason McLeod, then with the Red Sox, 13th round, 07, but he decided to go to college instead. All strike 3 to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-4 Pirates. Cubs today, they had a 4-0 lead. They were cruising along, and then the Pirates hit 2 home runs in the 7th inning to wrestle away the advantage. So now it's Mark Melancon.
What do you think the win expectancy is for a team that has a 4-run lead entering the 7th inning?
Got to believe it's got to be close to 90%.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
9 out of 10 at least.
Not all losses are created equally. You know, you lose this one, it really hurts.
Well, you mentioned the righty-lefty thing for Melancon, and he's going to get 3 consecutive left-handed hitters: Kalish, Rizzo, Scherholtz.
And you got to look in. He loves to throw that cutter in. The challenge is, well, if you kind of clear the front side, open up Cheaton a little bit, can you keep it fair? Even if you square it up, by the time you get the barrel to that cutter that's riding in on you, very difficult to keep it fair.
Yeah, this doesn't look like a lot of fun, knowing that probably going to foul a couple of pitches off your shins. Hector Rondon is up. Looks like Jose Veras, in case the Cubs get the lead here, trailing by 1 in the 8th. The 0-2.
Cubs did get to Melancon in the opening series over in Pittsburgh, scored a run off one of those outings last year. He pitched 10 times against the Cubs, had an 0.90 ERA, 10 innings, struck out 11, didn't walk anybody. He did that to just about everybody in the league.
Kalish could not hold up. That's a strikeout. Let's see, 11. That's the 23rd strikeout in this ballgame combined.
In exclusively with that cut fastball throughout that at bat. Big fellow here can cut one off. Get out in front of one before it gets in on his hands.
Got a curve that time. Bounced foul.
What you see a lot with Melancon too is the left-handed hitter swinging at pitches that are off the plate inside. Out of his hand, it looks good. It's just a little late darting movement that creates all the problems for the hitter.
I'm sure Melancon was known early on in his big league career in the minor leagues as Melancon, but that's the Cedilla, however you say it. The C is that soft sound.
Down in Louisiana, they would say Melançon.
Yeah, it's of Acadian origin. French-speaking areas of Canada and the Maritime provinces. Rizzo get a piece of it? I guess not. I thought I heard 2 sounds, but it's strike 3.
Changed the game plan a little bit, mixing in a couple of curveballs to Rizzo. 13 punch outs now for the Cub hitters.
Scherholtz with 2 outs and nobody on.
Hey, you predicted big things for Nate today.
Well, he's got a hit. He lined out 1 for 3. Just kind of felt like he was due.
There you go.
1 ball, 1 strike. Henson from the wind. And that'll get out of play. First base side. Ball rattled around near the Pirate dugout. Junior Lake waits on deck. They've completed 4 in D.C. The Nationals lead the Marlins 2-0. Jason Worth is homered. A few other games tonight. We mentioned the one final over in the AL. Oakland beat Minnesota 6-1.
Steven Strasburg for the Nationals today.
Matinee here. And the White Sox are home on the south side playing the Indians later tonight. Danny Salazar against John Danks. John's brother Jordan Danks replaces Avisail Garcia on their active roster. Right to Jordy Mercer, who throws to first in plenty of time. We go to the ninth, still 5-4 Pittsburgh. Try to add on here in the ninth in the rubber game of this series, and they'll face a tough cookie, Hector Rondon.
Yeah, if they add on, they'll do something that nobody's been able to do for a while now. 14-inning scoreless streak dating back to last season. That's 13 scoreless appearances for Rondon. He works for consecutive days for the first time this year. Scoreless 8th inning last night with a couple of punch-outs.
First at bat for Mercer. 0-2. Well, the old adage is the one big inning is usually more than the other team scores. Well, that's been the case. One big inning for the Pirates here today as Mercer fans.
Yeah, the Big Bang Theory. Winning team will score more runs in one inning than the other team will score in the ball game. It's been the case not every day, but a high percentage of the time throughout baseball history. Rondon, good slider.
CHN walked to set up the Alvarez go-ahead home run. That was in the 7th against Schlitter. Play Buchholz, Michael Pineda, the matchup in the Bronx tonight. Red Sox and Yanks. Red Hot Brewers will have Marco Estrada against Cliff Lee. Jason Grilli got the save in game 1. CHN took a half swing. Punch-Out City today.
Yeah.
Cubs bring Bonifacio from third to play shallow right as they shift against Alvarez. And he hits a ground ball to the shortstop Castro. Off balance throw, got him. And we will go to the bottom of the 9th. Lake Castro to start it. As the Cubs trail by a run, it'll be Ryan Sweeney for Junior Lake. Pretty decent chance we'll see Luis Valbuena in this inning after Castro as well. Jason Grilli, 2 for 3 in save chances, 1 for 2 against the Cubs.
The Cubs got him over there in that opening series. An all-star last year. Fastball slider change, but as Len mentioned, mostly fastball slider.
Outside really has specific pre-pitch routine. He kind of gathers himself, looks down, and when he's ready, quick glance at the catcher to get the sign. Two and one. Not bad. Three balls and a strike.
It looks like he's forcing it up there a little bit here this afternoon. Jose Veras just in case. And Sweeney's got a lot of room to operate on the left side of the infield.
Ooh, had a good rip at that. 3-2. Ball four. Good start.
Very good at bat. You know, just a good patient approach at the plate. He had 1-3-1 fastball that you're supposed to attack. He did. Just didn't quite square it up, and then showed some patience and worked the walk on a borderline pitch. But it was a little down and a little in.
Castro waves it. A slider for strike one. That's the kind of pitch you're almost glad he missed. Ryan Dempster hanging around till the finish. Base hit in the left. First and second, nobody out. His third hit of the day.
The one out he made was probably the best hit ball all day for him. The line out to left last time, but this time he stays down and through the breaking ball. Delivers a solid single to left field. Playing for two there, pitching towards the middle, and he had a pretty good size hole there on the left side.
Valbuena will pinch hit. I don't think I'd have him bunt. What do you think?
Well, yeah, that's a tough call.
Hitter, he can work a count.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm kind of good either way here. I like his chances to get something done. He could deliver a game-winning extra base hit here.
Doesn't show bunt at all.
Yeah, and the thinking in the dugout maybe let's let the count dictate what we do. Let him stand in there and see if he can get a fastball early in the count to do something with. If that were strike one, he would be behind in the count. Maybe they would have put the sacrifice on at that point.
Two and 0. I know who is rooting for a Cubs 2-run ninth. Ruth Strom turning 98 today in Frankfort, Illinois, watching and Rooting on the Cubs as always.
I definitely would be inclined to turn them loose here on 2-0. Ooh, did it have to be? Yeah, I'm with you, Luis. I will say this, Mark Carlson's been a little more generous up than down today. And pretty consistent, too.
Has shifted. It is blowing in now from center. 2-1 on Valbuena. He squares and he pushes it a foul to third. 2-2.
Trying to nudge that ball down towards third base to make Alvarez play it. That's the right idea. You've got to be careful not to try to be too fine here.
And he got him. That's a huge first out for Jason Grilli. See if Castillo can come through. Sweeney the tying run at second. Castro the winning run at first. A walk and a single to start the inning. Then Valbuena struck out. Here we go.
Going to turn it loose. Tell himself, stay back, make sure you get a pitch you can handle. Not to make excuses for Valbuena, but that can be a tough AB when you're up there and you're in between. One pitch you're swinging, the next pitch you're sacrificing. At the end of the day, you got to get the job done.
Slider strike, and it's 0-2.
Snaps off a pretty good one here that hugs that outside corner. Castro has to make sure he gets a good jump down there at first base so we can upend the middle infielder on a ground ball here.
A little extra mustard on that pitch at 94 from Grilli. 1-2. It has cooled off with the shifting of the wind. Blowing out as we got started. Now it's blowing in. Not very hard. A 1-2 pitch.
Crossed him up.
Yeah, handcuffed Sanchez.
Oh, they got lucky. He's waiting for the slider and able to get a little bit on that fastball and knock it down. If not, Cub runners move up.
Two balls, two strikes, a 1-run game here in the ninth. And the pitch, he struck him out on a slider, and it'll be up to Darwin Barney.
Got pretty good command of that slider, doesn't he?
Wow, it's been his best pitch today. bit of a tricky read here for the Pirates outfielders in terms of where they should play. You don't expect Barney to hit the ball over your head, but they can't play too shallow, and if he hits a gapper, Castro could come all the way around from first. So they're a little deeper than they probably normally would be here.
It certainly makes sense to play a step or two deeper on the pull side. Garland, when he gets out in front of the ball and hooks it, he can yank it over the left fielder's head. That's where his power is. Doesn't normally drive the ball over the outfielder's head in right and center field. But you also have to guard against the ball. Line drive down the right field line. You have to give yourself an angle to try to cut that off. Cubs would be happy to get one here and keep on moving.
Grilly's 1-1. Sanchez with a good slide and block. Not unimportant here, because all of a sudden if that ball gets by him, it's second and third, and a single could win it for the Cubs.
Yeah, fortunate earlier on the cross up when he knocked that fastball down. That was just good execution there to slide over and keep that one in front.
Two-one, strike two to even it up.
In that top of the zone fastball. Connect the dots. Climbing the ladder on the outside corner.
Fans getting on their feet here. The 2-2 pitch. Barney laid off. Ball three. Bonifacio's on deck. I am not a mind reader. I could tell you Clint Hurdle does not want this game to come down to Bonifacio and Grilly.
No, he doesn't. Nor does he want Grilly to throw a cookie here to Barney. That's the rub. That's the challenge for Jason Grilly. Make a quality pitch without completely giving in.
This is where Barney's hopefully renewed patience at the plate can play into it. He does not have to win it here. Just keep the line moving, and he does. Ball four. See, for me, and he might have fouled it off, but that's a pitch last year Darwin would have swung at. He was a 3-2 hacker last year.
Yeah, and that's what the Pirates are counting on. That really will tell you, he made the pitch he wanted to make. He wasn't going to give in. He tried to throw that slider to the outside corner, willing to miss, thinking Barney might chase, and if he doesn't, he starts fresh with a new hitter. But the upside for the Cubs is they sit through the infield and they got a W. And who would you rather have up?
Bases loaded. Bonifacio taking all the way. Looks at a strike. We wanted to see really throw him a strike before digging in here. It's a confident hitter. The 0-1. He held. Big swing there from from 0-2 to 1-1. Pirates came back with 5 in the 7th. The Cubs trying to turn the table here in the 9th. 1-1 pitch, ground ball, fair, picked up by Ishikawa, and the Pirates hang on.
Boy, that could not have missed that bag by much.
Jason Grilly gets out of a bases loaded jam here in the 9th. The Cubs leave 3 and drop a tough one today. They had a 4-0 lead And as you mentioned, Garrett Cole will get the win.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah. It's, well, you know, the old adage in baseball is every team's going to win 60. Every team's going to lose 60. It's what you do with those games in between that will determine your season. This was one of those games, one of those tweener games the Cubs let get away.
So the Pirates take 2 of 3 for the second time to start the season against the Cubs. The final today, the Pirates 5 and the Cubs 4.